When Americans joke about escaping to Canada, they're tapping into a very real tradition. For centuries, Canada has been the place where people in the U.S. went when the so-called land of the free didn't include them. Hey folks, I'm Tad Sturmer. I teach public history at Johns Hopkins University. I'm the film and digital media editor of the Public Historian Journal, and I'm a scholar of the American Revolution. The waves started with the American Wars for Independence, when white and black loyalists, people who believed in liberty, believed in freedom, believed in representative government, but weren't buying what the Patriots were selling, weren't buying the Patriots' version of that. And so they left by the tens of thousands. 5% of the American population were white loyalists. There were tens of thousands of black loyalists who took advantage of British promises of freedom. And they didn't just disappear, poof. They made Canada. Entire new provinces, like what's now Ontario and New Brunswick, had to be created because the Loyalists took over politics, society, and culture. Then came the late Loyalists, who left after the U.S. Constitution made it clear who was included in the Patriots' version of freedom. Spoiler, not everybody. More fled after Upper Canada's 1793 Act against slavery, pushed by a former Loyalist commander, John Graves Simcoe, who's now a Canadian hero, which made it harder to legally enslave people. It banned the importation of any enslaved people into Upper Canada. And then the War of 1812 brought another wave of immigration, formerly enslaved people who took the British up on their offer of freedom, just like in the Revolution. And then came the 1830s, when the British abolished slavery everywhere in their empire, making Canada an even more real and permanent option for freedom seekers. That's the world that Harriet Tubman was operating in. Her idea of liberty wasn't a dream, it was a destination. And that destination was Canada. She wasn't leading people to some abstract promise of American justice. Sometime in the future, believe in the words. She was getting them to Canada because that's where they would actually be free, where they would actually have a chance at pursuing their happiness. Think about that. Harriet Tubman saluted in Donald Trump's proclamation of Black History Month as an American patriot. Her idea of American freedom was getting people to Canada. And so here we are in Black History Month, watching this ridiculous fight over tariffs that conveniently ignores the actual history of Canada. Not that these folks would actually pay attention to it at all. Canada isn't just a separate country from the United States. It's a big part of American history. It's the place where people went when liberty in the United States wasn't an option. If you're going to argue about Canada, at least acknowledge this truth. It's not just our neighbor. It's the freedom the U.S. so often refused to provide.